Hi, everybody. Looks like we're live. And I just want to welcome you tonight. I hope that you can join us. It's going to be a great discussion with my friend, Dr. Zoller. Hi, I'm Debbie Leno, founder of the Ageless Women Movement, and I am all about moving forward, ladies. And so I just really want to help each woman create the life that they adore. And tonight we're going to have an exciting topic. Well, I don't know. I think it's an exciting topic, and so does Dr. Zoller. But it's actually a topic that can be overwhelming to some people. It's about toxic burden, and specifically how foods can affect your endocrine system. And this is a broad topic, and we're going to try to narrow it in as best we can to hit some high notes that we think are important to share. And let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Zoller. So he is a 1994 graduate of Fairfield High School. He completed his undergraduate studies at Eastern Kentucky University before attending Palmer College of Chiropractic and receiving his Doctor of Chiropractic degree in 2002. He currently practices chiropractic with Everybody's Health in Fairfield Township. He's a father of 2 children. Dr. Zoller's passions include continual pursuit of health and wellness, and I can verify that. That's when we're together, that's about all we talk about, just about. And when not practicing chiropractic or being a dad, he enjoys playing drums, guitar, and singing. And I will vouch for him in that too, because I've heard a couple of his things.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on, Dr. Zoller. I really appreciate this. This is such a great topic for us to be talking about, the endocrine system. So let's just start by having you give a description or an explanation on what the endocrine system is.
So, I mean, the body's always trying to maintain this term called homeostasis, and a lot of people have probably heard of that. And all homeostasis is just a fancy way of saying balance. And so when you look at the human body is made up of different systems. You have the nervous system, endocrine system, circulatory system. And so what the endocrine system is just a network of glands that secrete hormones. And what hormones do is they tell the cells how to function. And so it's important that people understand that much of what we do is happening on a cellular level. It's a very, very small level. And it's out of sight because it's out of mind. No, most people aren't very well versed in the human physiological system. So that's what the endocrine system is. And so, well, what makes up those glands? You've got various glands in the brain, throughout the body, thyroid gland, adrenal glands, hypothalamus, pituitary. So those are some of the glands that the endocrine system is made up of. And the things that are in our foods and our cosmetics interfere with those hormones and the production.
So, and that's really been called hormone disruption or endocrine disruption. So can you help us understand what neurotoxins are and how exactly they interfere?
So, neuro, referring to the brain, your brain is producing various neurotransmitters and chemicals, just like hormones. They're telling things to talk on the cellular level. And so, take, for example, MSG. You and I are always talking about MSG, and everybody's heard of it, but they don't really realize how bad it really is. And so MSG is one of those things that attacks those endocrine glands, particularly the hypothalamus and the pituitary. And so a neurotoxin is anything that's toxic to those chemical signals, basically.
Gotcha.
So
oh my God.
Interfering with your body's ability to communicate effectively.
Because I think, isn't it interesting that there seems to be such a rise in thyroid conditions in our modern world?
Yeah.
I mean, I know MSG is just one of them, but it's a big one. It's a big one because it's in a lot of things, and it can even hide in things. And I know there's been a lot of research out there that can confirm that MSG does indeed create a problem, creates havoc in our bodies.
Oh, it's a fact. It's a fact. You can't dispute it. And like you said, it's everywhere.
So a good place to start would be to, of course, we're big, huge fans of label reading, right? So, I mean, obviously, anything that clearly says MSG or monosodium glutamate would be something you'd probably pass up on.
Yes, but it's hidden. You can look at a label and it could say spices, and the spices could have MSG.
Well, that's a concern because they can do that. I mean, there's a way, right? There's a way for them to be able to hide that spice
Right.
or that enhancer. We'll call it an enhancer because that's what it does. It enhances all the flavors, correct?
Right. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes everything taste much better. Does a lot of other things to the brain that we might get into, but yeah, makes
It's actually
effective.
it's actually better if they spell out the spices and you're pretty safe.
Yeah. Well,
But if they just go spices, you're like, ooh.
yeah. Right.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we know that it's in the food that we eat. Can you think of any other warnings that we should have when it comes to food? I know that dyes are a big, huge thing.
Um. Well, let's dive into some of the things that are in the foods. Um, PBAs or BPAs. I'm sure you're familiar with BPAs, mainly in plastics. Um, the problem with BPAs is that it can mimic estrogen. So for all the women out there with estrogen problems, this is a good one to look at. Um, the problem is it's daunting. It's in everything.
And I'm starting to notice, and I'm sure you have too, that we're starting to see it on packaging now. BPA free, BPA free. So they know they know that it's not safe. What do you know what the long name for it is?
It's and I always have problem pronounce. It's bisphenol A.
Okay.
Bisphenol A. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's interesting to me that they know that it's toxic. It's still being produced, but there's enough knowledge out there that people are putting it on their labeling that it's BPA free, making it appear greener.
right. Well, at least there's an effort there.
There's a little bit of an effort
I
there.
think we have a long way to go, though. So,
Oh yeah, and yellow number 6 and red number 3 and uh, guys, why do we need coloring in our foods? Seriously?
well, because it's been found that it's more appealing to buy, is what it comes down to. It's just pretty packaging, but that might be another talk, Debbie, getting into all of that.
That's a deep talk. I know that based on the fact that we did this research like 3 years ago and did a workshop, and I gathered up a whole bunch of stuff from the supermarket that had all these ingredients in it that shouldn't be on the shelves, children's cereals and all kinds of things.
Right.
It could just come down to just read your labels, guys. If you see food coloring in your products, I mean, why? There's no reason for it. uh, it's concerning that they know that it causes cancer and yet they still put it in our foods and products.
Yeah, and a lot. Yeah, I, we have a long way to go.
Well, I think we're starting, at least having the conversation and bringing awareness to these things. Cosmetics too. I mean, uh, I would say that there's so many different ways for this to enter your bloodstream through your skin, through the food you eat, through the air you breathe. And this is where it can be a little overwhelming. So where would you start, Dr. Zoller, to start cleaning up our toxic burden? What would you recommend for the average person to really start?
Um, well, the simplest way is to go organic and be plant-based, because we know that a lot of these chemicals, there are a lot of industrial chemicals that act as endocrine disruptors. They're in the manufacturing process. So they get into the corn, the animals eat the corn. Um, it's in the manufacturing process of meats, cheeses. And so a plant-based diet is the best way to go. That's very daunting. Most Americans are not plant-based. They're processed. They're eating processed foods. A lot of people think that they're eating healthy, and they're really not. So the simple answer to your question is plant-based, organic, and get yourself a good water filter. So
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we can't eliminate everything, but if we could just do our best collectively, you're doing yourself a favor by just little by little, just tackling a few things. Reading your labels, that's a big one. You know, if you can make a choice between something that's got 5 ingredients and something that has that 12 ingredients that you can't pronounce, you can make a decision that way.
To further answer your question, beyond eating organic and eating plant-based, is you really have to take the bull by the horns, and it's an education process. You're going to have to get interested in the human body. I know that no one wants to do that. Everybody's distracted. You've got jobs and kids, and you're run down, but you really need to start learning about the human body and how it works, because until you know a little bit of that, it doesn't make any sense to you. You know,
That's a really good point.
why am I avoiding MSG? Well, it helps to know how it affects your brain. It helps to know what your hypothalamus is. So yeah, you're gonna have to study a little bit.
And all of a sudden we find out that these things aren't working right, and we're really, you know, kind of been in the dark as to why that happened or how that happened.
Right.
And it's not overnight either. I mean, it's a collective use of these things, a collective
Right.
exposure.
Most people aren't being put on blood pressure medication and thyroid medication in their 20s and 30s. It happens, but it's usually in the later decades, 40s, 50s, 60s. Well, why is that? It's because you've been bombarding your system with all of these carcinogens and endocrine disruptors and neurotoxins, and you know we're quite toxic. A lot of these things are fat soluble. So again, organic and learn.
You know, as a doctor, you see a lot of conditions. And you know, and I know that you're really big on foods. We've had those discussions. I know you're really big on educating your patients on correct diet and how that actually you can even, as a chiropractor, you can feel it in the body if somebody is toxic, can't you?
You can, particularly smokers come to mind. Nothing against smokers, but I got to tell you, when a smoker gets on my table, I can tell their tissue's not as elastic. They're harder to adjust. They typically respond slower because of the long-term use. That smoking is not great for the circulation. Um, so yeah, it's very,
But
very
it
evident.
affects the tissue. That's interesting.
It does. It does. I mean, again, the circulatory system is. We could probably talk about that on some other talk, but yeah, smoking is very detrimental to that. So I can feel.
Well, I would love to have you back on to talk about more of these things because it's hard to cover it all in one session for sure. There's so much to talk about and focus on.
I mean, essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness. You know, I could sit here and talk about all the scientific mechanisms, and it might resonate with some people, but most people it's not, because they don't have that you know, basic education. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's just, you know, look at the school system. The gym and health classes are the two screw-off classes that no one takes seriously, and it shows. So
You know, I never thought about that.
yeah, it's true.
You know what? That's a great place to start is getting into the education system to really help our children understand the connection.
We're jumping all over the place, Debbie.
I know. I know.
There's
We
so
could.
much to say.
Yeah. Yeah. There really is. Pam Ferber's on. Pam, I believe, is a patient at Everybody's Health.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other people, there's 2 other Facebook users on that it doesn't reflect their names. But hello, everybody. Thank you for coming on live. We're just talking about hormone disruption and the endocrine system and the toxins that are in your foods and the other products that you use. But I don't even know what to say about this because there's so much to talk about on this subject of toxic overload. But since we were focusing on the way the hormones function, that's kind of where we decided to bring more focus.
Well, nobody wants to ask a question.
Yes, I have Pam's on. Great place. Yes, she's commenting on Everybody's Health.
Oh, okay. Good things,
Yeah,
I
thank
hope.
you. Yeah. So how do I wish we had some questions out there from the audience. I'd love to know what questions are on the women's minds when it comes to hormones, because I know you could answer them. And I've been very, very, very fortunate that I have not had hormonal problems. So I feel blessed. I mean, I never had baby blues. The blues right after having babies. I never experienced that. I didn't have a bad menopause or anything like that. So I haven't had those sort of troubles. Thank God. I feel very blessed and fortunate. But I know so many women that have difficulty with that.
I think a good place to start, I mean, there's a lot of good places to start, but for someone who's really serious, a cleanse would be a good place to start. There are good ones and there are bad ones, so I'm not going to recommend one at this point. But
well, I did one through Everybody's Health, and I really liked it, and other people could notice it when I did it. Was the Metagenics.
Okay, so all right, if you want to get into it, Metagenics is a good one. Standard Process, that's a pretty good one. Those are the two companies that I recommend most.
Now, they're not all created equal. We know that.
They're not, and that brings up a good point about like diet products, because we know that MSG causes obesity. We've known that since the 70s. It's producing obesity in lab rats. So one of the problems is when people are having issues losing weight, they gravitate to like protein shakes and diet pills and other things like that. Well, we know that those are loaded with MSG. So people who are having an issue losing weight, you know what I mean? So it's everywhere. You have to be careful.
Yeah, and they're just not aware. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
So there is a difference. I mean, when people, it really kind of gnaws at me when I hear, oh, I get Walgreens brand. It's all the same. I mean, a probiotic is a probiotic, a cleanse is a cleanse, and that's not true. That's not true.
That's not, because we know that a lot of the supplement companies, they'll use binders and fillers, and they'll also use synthetic vitamins, which the body doesn't recognize like it does a naturally occurring vitamin or mineral. And a lot of people don't know that. I go to Costco, I go to Walmart, well, it's not all created equal. So something else to think about. It's daunting and it's overwhelming. I mean, for those people who really want to take their health seriously, get ready to be upset and overwhelmed and even mad. I mean, when I was really getting into this stuff the last several years, because when you're a doctor, you start up, you should know more by the time you're your 15th or 20th year in practice than you did your first 5. And so as doctors, we should always be learning. But when I was really looking at this stuff, looking at the food and drug industry, it'll blow your mind. And so it can be quite intimidating. And so you have to keep a level head.
And the diet industry is a really big offender too.
Yeah. Again, not all products are created equal.
Yeah.
So you really have to spend some time and learn.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much there. We can provide more materials too to follow up with. I know if you check there's a place in my Facebook group that says files, and there are some documents in there that'll help you as far as to recognize what neurotoxins are and where they are, how to look for them. And Dr. Zoller and I can team up and see what other things that we can come up with that to provide you with, to just give you more information on MSG or whatever. So Dr. Zoller, if you'd follow up with me at a later time and see if we can't get some more material out there, handouts for them, to just help them.
Sure. Yeah.
Help them on their way.
I'd love to help.
I know you do. That's why I have you on. So what's your message? What message do you have for the women out there that are listening?
Well, I could say a lot, but
we're wonderful. We're a wonderful species.
I would say take your health more seriously. I know that's simple and vague, but we are a product and a result of our health. I think as a society, not to get negative, but you have to take a hard, honest look. We are sick in every way. We're sick emotionally, we're sick spiritually, mentally, physically, and it's the stressors that we are looking at and consuming and putting on our bodies, and it requires a massive overhaul, but it takes an honest look.
You got to start somewhere and really, I mean, a good question to ask is, what kind of life do you really want for your future?
And that's just it. I know so many people personally. I have a lot of patients who I've seen patients that they've been with me for the last 10, 15 years. I've seen them go through their working years, and I've seen them start to retire. And I know plenty of people who have worked their ass off to get to retirement, and now they're confined to a lazy boy recliner because they have degenerative joint disease in their knees and hips and shoulders, and they have all of this money. They can travel and do whatever they want, and they can't, because now they're going to spend their last several decades dealing with the consequences,
Chronic pain,
of the neglect that they subjected themselves to. And that's not meant to be like insulting to them. They don't know any better, and most people don't know any better. So hopefully this video acts as some sort of wake-up call to the people who are kind of like, I know I'm on this road, I know it's forking, and if I don't start making some changes, I'm going to go down this degenerative, debilitating road. And
you can stop it, right?
You can. A lot of times you can reverse it. People think, oh, I'm old. I hear that, I'm old, I'm broken down. If you think of yourself like an old car that can be restored, you can be restored. So
I think the thing that I find so sad is, for decade to decade goes by, and I'm going to pick smoking as an example. Oh, I need to quit. Oh, I need to quit. Oh, I know I need to quit. Oh, I know it's not good for me. And then all of a sudden you get the worst diagnosis of your life. And then you sit there and you go, I wish I had quit 20 years ago. I wish I even quit 10 years ago. Why couldn't I have done it then?
Right.
And so you don't want to be that person who gets an awful diagnosis because you didn't stop doing what you knew you should have stopped. And so I encourage you to take the steps to or at least define what you'd like to have for your future. What kind of a future do you want to have health-wise? You really have more power than you think. You have more control than you think. And if you need help to get power, then you just need to reach out. Reach out to your medical providers, coaches, whatever. Just reach out and get the help you need to take the steps that's going to, bring you to that place you want to be.
Well, time flies. You're 20 years old, you blink. You're 30 years old, you blink. You're 40, and so
that's very true.
And as we all know, time moves faster as we get older. At least it seems that way. So we are creatures of habit, and oftentimes we're creatures of bad habit. What is it, like 21 days, right? I hear conflicting things.
Yeah, I know. You hear
21
something
days
different all
to
the
start
time.
a new habit, right?
Yeah.
So it does take some resolve, and I think what helps is, well, what I see is I'll see married couples in my practice, and it'll usually be like one spouse who is, I want to change, but my husband, he's a lazy piece of crap. I hear that all the time. And usually it's the men that are the lazy pieces of crap. I don't usually hear the male patients complaining about their wives. It's always the wives complaining about the males. But, for someone, I know someone specifically who falls into that category where now that they're retired, and the one gentleman, he's confined to a lazy boy chair, and his wife has to take care of him. She's going to spend her last decades taking care of her husband because she doesn't want to put him in a home. All the money to travel and do everything that they want with. So these are two of the hardest working people that I know, and now, again,
it's very, very sad.
So it helps if the spouses come together, and it can be a kind of a growth thing, because a lot of times, marriage should be kind of like, hopefully you come back to that converging, but
like a lot of dance.
Yeah, it should be a dance, but a lot of times we go this way. So, health is a big stressor, mentally and emotionally, but also financially.
Absolutely.
Either way, whether it takes a tremendous amount of effort to remain healthy, it takes a tremendous amount of effort to deal with illness and disease and sickness. Either way, it takes a tremendous amount of effort, and so it's your choice.
And when you're young, And I'll say even in your 40s, you're young. By my standard, and you're in your 40s, you're young. You
Mhm.
have so much more. You have so much more than you realize you have at 40. And you may not be thinking about what your life going to be like in 20 years, but trust me, at some point you've got to reel it in. You've got to, if you want to have a joyful life in your later years and not be saddled with those health problems that are, oh, yeah.
I
Take
see.
care
I
of
see.
yourself now.
Yeah, take care of yourself now. People in their 20s aren't thinking about how they're going to feel in their 40s, 50s, and
Yeah,
60s. I mean,
right.
they're in the prime of their life physically. You're running off the fumes of your youth in your 30s and 40s, but mid 40s, late 40s, there's a fork in the road, and that's when it's decision time. So,
And
um,
you can make a huge difference in your life. Even, I know a lot of people have this thinking, well, I'm already midlife and, I've already done this for so long. Is that going to really help? Yeah, it's going to really help. Yeah. 20 years go from 45 to 65. Oh, yeah. If
you
you start, you're going to have a tremendous difference.
you can do a tremendous amount of damage or good in the span of 5 or 10 years or 20 years. So it all adds up.
Absolutely. So your final message to us is to take care of ourselves. That's what I'm hearing.
Your health is everything. I mean,
Well,
what?
without it, there's not much joy.
No, it literally affects everything. So, and when I say health, I don't mean just like physical and mental. I mean emotional and spiritual. Those things have a chemical effect on the body.
Oh,
The thoughts. You and I have talked many times. Everything that you do, it first starts right here. It starts in the mind. So
100%.
you have to get that straight. So I guess if I could make an argument, your mental health is probably the most important aspect because you can have a crappy day and you can not be functional and you could be, you know, on the other side of the moon and you can do anything. So
Mental health would be another great topic that I'd love to have that conversation. I have a lot to say about that. I know you do too.
I do,
Yeah.
but I'm not a psychiatrist, so let's make that
Uh,
clear.
Both of us have done enough, I think, educating, or we have got some background in the way the brain works, and especially with all the things that I'm learning about neuroplasticity and how we can really change our brains. That's real when we can do that, and that'll be another topic for sure. That's an exciting topic because we have so much more available to us. We have so much more ability than we ever thought we had. Right?
We do, especially when you're getting into, I mean, we're all over the place on this one, Debbie,
I
but
know.
when you're getting into the subconscious mind and the conscious mind and the different, alpha, beta, delta, theta, the brain waves, what you can do with your subconscious mind and meditation. Yeah, it's all good.
Meditation's yeah, that's a really good thing. I'm going to end this discussion by asking you what, in your opinion, what is your definition of an ageless woman? You know, I was going to have to ask you that one, right? And you don't have to you don't have to remember exactly what you told me the first time we talked about it, but I
I
would
like,
love to hear
like
what you
what I
think about
wrote, but
that.
I don't remember what I wrote. It was off
That's
the cuff.
okay. It was
Um,
great too, but
yeah, but what I'm gonna say isn't. It's gonna pale in comparison to what I wrote. Um, just read what I wrote. What did I write?
I'll repost it because it was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll repost it.
All right, do that.
But I will definitely do that. So if you have enjoyed this conversation and you would like to follow up with Dr. Zoller and ask him more questions, you can connect with him. You can connect with him on Facebook. So just look him up at Dr. Brandon Zoller. Is that it? Just Dr. Brandon Zoller?
Be Dr. Brandon Zoller, DC. You'll
DC?
see my picture. Go ahead, like and follow me, and if you have any questions, go ahead and message me on Facebook. I'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah, that's a great way to connect with you. All right. Well, thank you for coming on late and doing this with me. And I hope we get a chance to talk about other topics. I promise I won't float so much into so many other side pieces.
Well, this was a hard one, and you and I are, pretty much equally passionate about this. So we'd like to talk, and I think we just trying to give the audience as much to take away. So
I would
thanks.
just, get curious, guys. Get curious out there. I mean, there's so many things that you can do every day to improve the quality of your life. And I just plead with you to do that. Ask yourself that question. What kind of life do you want to have as you get older? Do you want to be confined, or do you want to go into it with joy?
Yeah, I mean, take ownership of your body and take ownership of your health. This is yours. It's your responsibility. It's not your doctor's. It's not your husband's, your wives, your kids. It's your responsibility.
Oh,
Um,
that's really good.
so I guess that might be my closing message. Your
I think
health,
that
your health is your responsibility. It's not mine, and it's not your neighbor's. Your health is your responsibility. There's my message.
that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. And I hope we get to do it again.
You're welcome, Debbie. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.